The World Series begins as the debate over an MLB salary cap heats up alongside, and the NFL season nears the halfway point, yet we're still left with more questions than answers. Several coaches have hot seats, and the first domino has fallen. Plus, does the NFL have a young quarterback talent problem? All that and more right here on Coast Knows Ball.
Welcome back to Coast Knows Ball, ladies and gentlemen.
That's right.
We're already at the NFL trade deadline. It is crazy to think that we have already made it this far into the NFL season. It just goes by too fast, you know?
It really does. You know, there's something to the lack of action in the grand scheme with NFL football, but still the hype that we have every week for the next slate of games is just it's intangible, it's insurmountable. It's always so much fun. I love NFL football for that very reason, of course. And any given Sunday, you know what I mean? Like we can, we're still a couple weeks out actually from the deadline, but it's heating up and we have some doozies for you in that regard later this episode. But man, I mean, really, a team's outlook on the trade deadline can change within the next two weeks, and a lot of stuff.
Is it week 9 now? I didn't realize that they pushed it back to week 9.
November 4th is the deadline day. Yeah.
Wow.
So I usually think it's like right at the end of October. So like in years past, I remember this very well because the 49ers had traded for Jimmy Garoppolo. I think it was the day before the deadline or something like that. And it was October 31st, Halloween, when they did that.
Really?
Yeah. And so usually it's right there, right at the very end of October or the beginning of November, whenever the actual day lies.
I thought it was always week 8, but it might have gotten pushed back to week 9 whenever the NFL's season expanded.
I think that's what it is. Yeah.
That makes sense.
But yeah, so very exciting stuff moving, into this episode. Of course, I did mention MLB baseball at the top of it as well. I think it's worth just talking about just a little bit before we get into the main event football stuff because, it is the World Series. It hasn't started yet, but it's going to start, I think, tomorrow or Friday. It's going to be game 1. And, we have the Evil Empire LA Dodgers coming up against the Toronto Blue Jays. The Blue Jays have the home field advantage because of the All-Star game. Is that how it's determined now? Or is it just alternating now?
It's just alternating now.
Okay. So
they took the value out of the All-Star game, I think.
Boo! I mean, in fairness, like the AL won 10 years in a row until Elias Diaz 2 years ago. So
hey, I'm okay with that. I thought it was pretty cool.
No, I like our All-Star games having some kind of meaning because we've seen what happens when an All-Star game no longer has meaning.
And we all know that baseball's All-Star week is the best fucking All-Star of anything. No other sport is worth watching, but baseball's is.
Yeah, and I wish they still treated it that way because it seems like the MLB doesn't understand what they have in their back pocket, essentially, with when it comes to the All-Star break. But yeah, so we have the Dodgers and the Blue Jays in the World Series. I, for one, will be rooting for the Blue Jays. I think a lot of people are because
absolutely.
The problem is, and if you follow me on Twitter, you probably don't. You probably never heard of this show, but that's why you should subscribe because it's the best show you've never heard of. But you've seen me rant
Coast
about...
Knows Ball.
Yes, Coast Knows No Ball. You've seen me rant about the salary cap a lot in the past few days, and I think it's for very good reason. And it's not because I am upset with the Dodgers, because I am a Giants fan, and I want to be upset at the Dodgers. But I'm really, the core is that I'm upset with MLB baseball, the league itself, for not doing anything about this. And I think, assuming that the Dodgers win the World Series, they're projected to, and let's assume as well that they acquire a Kyle Tucker or a Tariq Skubal in the off season, and they get even better, and their odds of winning next season's World Series as well increase with those types of additions, let alone the team that they already have. You are playing yourself into a lockout in the 2027 season. And I think if certain things align, in the way that I just described, we will not have any baseball played in that year because there will be a lockout and it will extend through the season because this is such
Mhm.
a contentious hot button issue. And my biggest gripe is that nobody is talking about the 24 teams in the middle. People who are critical of obviously the Dodgers or the Yankees or the Mets or the Red Sox, even though the Red Sox are obviously not as egregious offenders, not nearly. But they're
Right.
critical because they outspend everyone else because they can outspend most other people in general. It's not just about, oh,
Mhm.
well, the other teams could match. They just can do it anyway. They could just outspend that match, you know? But the problem is that they all say what we actually need is a salary floor. The teams that are actually ruining baseball are the A's, the Pirates, and the Rays. Those are like the bottom three spending teams in baseball, and consistently
Right,
so.
but nobody's against a salary floor. We're all in favor of that.
That's exactly my point. Nobody who is for a salary cap is against a salary floor. I would love to live in a world where every MLB team needs to be spending every year between 200 and 300 million dollars on their roster. I think that is a really nice happy medium where you if you can't really afford that much because there are some owners that are less valuable than others, there are other teams that are less valuable than others, but
Mhm.
you are within a $100 million threshold from the people at the top and the people at the bottom. And I think that makes sense. And it forces everyone to spend meaningful dollars. And my biggest problem, again, is that we're not talking about the other 24 teams. We're only talking about the Dodgers, Yankees, Mets, and we're only talking about the A's, Pirates, and Rays. Those are the only six teams we're talking about. Everybody else that actually spends meaningful money or goes out and tries to acquire talent every offseason by spending money just does not have the pull that a city like LA or New York has on the national scale. Think about what
Mhm.
LA as a city brings, not just the Dodgers, but LA. You have Hollywood there. You have so much of the film industry, advertising, all entertainment. It is the epicenter of entertainment, and New York is basically the same thing on the other side of the country.
Which player
So
wouldn't take that opportunity
so
at the
yes,
same price?
exactly. So the Brewers could have offered Otani $700 million, which is exactly what he got from the Dodgers. But why
Mhm.
would he ever accept the Brewers contract? He was always going to accept the Dodgers contract. He might even accept the Dodgers contract for less money because of what the city brings to the table. And that's why I posit that it is unfair for the 24 teams in the middle that do spend money that just can't compete with
Mhm.
LA or New York. It just is. And the sooner that we can talk about what is in the best interest for the vast majority of the league, those 24 teams, the better, the closer we are to finding a solution to the problem. And I really think that the only solution to the problem is a salary cap and floor. And my numbers are $200 million floor, $300 million ceiling. But
Well,
it's de
in
facto
my
as well. Keep that in mind. It is de
in
facto. You can't go back and force the Dodgers to retroactively cancel contracts because they go over the line. You can't do that. It would be from that point forward.
I don't know. I think that you could tell them that they can't defer it anymore. I think that you could do that.
I think you can remove deferrals too. Deferrals are already bad, and I think most people agree. Deferrals are stupid.
Hmm. What's it called? What's going to be so frustrating about this offseason is that our teams are in desperate, like dire need of a player like Kyle Tucker. And we're gonna have like a Kyle Tucker would turn both of our team into like legit World Series contenders. Um, and we're gonna have to watch him go to LA, a team that is just gonna that's what that is gonna do is result in a guy who's probably a 115 WRC plus player being a bench player, just because they can afford to upgrade at that position.
Yeah. Yeah, you might I hope you're not right, but I mean in most cases, like it takes a team taking such a risk in such a landmark trade like the Giants to trade for Rafael Devers to even acquire talent of that caliber in the first place. Um
Hmm.
and at the same time, it takes a team like the Kansas City Royals to, I'm not going to say luck into a Bobby Witt Jr. in your farm system, but it is at the end
Or
of the
luck
day.
into a Jack Caglione at the 6th overall
Right.
pick.
Right. But
If he pans out,
yeah,
obviously.
at the end of the day, it is still some element of luck because it's about a prospect hitting or not. But of course, you spend money to keep them around because that's how you also cultivate talent, especially as a smaller market team. But the
Mhm.
Royals are never going to outspend the Dodgers. They are never going to, and they shouldn't be punished or penalized because they can't do that. They just feasibly cannot. the
Mhm.
the league and the sport is in such a better state when everybody's on an even playing field, and that's something that the NFL gets right consistently. We every year we have new playoff teams. The turnover, and a lot of people talk about it, there's a lack of parity or whatever, and that's because the Chiefs win all the time, a lot. And that's
Mhm.
what happens when you have a franchise quarterback like Patrick Mahomes, who is entering the GOAT conversation because he's that good and he's been that good.
Right.
But every year, every single year. What last season we had like 7 new playoff teams, and the year before that we had 7 new playoff teams, and the year before that, and the year before that. There's so much turnover, and it makes the league so much more interesting, and it makes the game so much more fun and palatable. That this could be the year that your team just is good, and is good for the next 3 years, and it could just be that they're only good this year. You know, but the
Mhm.
MLB doesn't have that. It's been the same playoff teams minus 1 or 2 teams for the last 5 years, really.
And it's always going to be those teams, or at least it's not going to change from those teams for a while because of the way that the game is structured now.
Yep.
It's not set up for our teams to have success in the long run. We have a very, very small window that we can be successful. And realistically, the Royals are only even going to have a window if Jack Caglione is that elite, high potential talent that he could be. We
Hmm.
need him to be that level of elite in order for us to have that potential.
Right.
It's just depressing.
Yeah. And so it is sad to see the league go this way, and I hope that the problem gets resolved. I really don't see any counter argument to what I said about thinking about the 24 teams in the middle, because most people will just say, we'll just match or outspend the Dodgers. But I don't think that anybody with a straight face could tell me that they would take a contract with the Washington Nationals as opposed to the LA Dodgers. Like, I mean, you can't say that with a straight
Right.
face. And
No.
that's frustrating.
The only way you say that with a straight face is if the Washington Nationals still have Bryce Harper and Juan Soto.
Sure. Yeah. So anyway, World Series is on Friday. I don't know if I'll be watching. I think I'm that upset that the Dodgers are in this year that I might not even watch the World Series. I'm gonna be that
Yeah,
petty.
honestly, unless the Blue Jays get up like 2-0, I'm probably not going to pay attention to it. I don't want to give my viewership to it if the Blue Jays aren't going to win.
Yeah. So rooting for the Blue Jays on this show. I believe Vitor probably shares a lot of the same sentiments we have, especially as a Marlins fan.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, but that's our any final thoughts on
I feel
baseball?
horrible for Mariners fans. Mariners fans, y'all have it the worst, bro.
Yeah, really tough one. I think there's a lot to be optimistic about. You have a really good
Hmm.
core of players. You have an excellent rotation, and it's just building upon that, expanding upon that, and now you've got some playoff experience. Whereas you didn't have it 2 years ago. So
Hmm.
yeah, I think that's going to be very important and crucial. And maybe next year's the year they get it done.
Hmm.
Okay, shall we move on to our NFL tier list?
Absolutely. What a fucking week of football.
It was a very odd week, I think. We had
Hmm.
some crazy blowouts that I was not anticipating to be blowouts. We had some really close games that I was surprised about, and we had some just weird stuff going on. We had a 33-point fourth quarter from a team. We had, you
Yeah.
know, we had a matchup on Sunday Night Football with one of the most prolific rushing attacks that got shut down on the run game, and then on opposite end, the team that's averaged the most passing yards per game only threw for
Couldn't
130.
pass it at all.
It was so weird. Just the whole season. The Jaguars in their second home lost by 28 points. It was
The
weird.
Bucks couldn't pass the ball at all.
Yeah, yeah. So
Oh,
let's
yeah, and the Lions got a ton of weird officiating benefits. Like pretty much nothing could not go the Lions' way, which it really just felt like they or the Bucks had to suffer because the Lions played the Chiefs last week,
Yeah, like a makeup
which is
game.
such right, which is such a weird thing that we have to live with now in the
Mhm.
NFL. But it's just
Who
today's day and
the
age.
who's the next makeup game? So the Bucks are playing the Saints this week. So expect the Saints to get 11 penalties for 130 yards.
Oh, absolutely. We're gonna get our asses kicked.
And then
And Baker,
there will not be a makeup game for the Saints because they're bad. Just you have to
yeah,
deal with it.
yeah, we don't care. I saw a meme and it was like nothing about this season has made sense, and yet the Jets still don't have a win.
Yeah, that's a great point.
I was like, that's just so funny that they still have to live with all this shit.
Yeah, we don't envy your position, Jets fans, but also just pick a different team at this point. Like,
Right.
what
Like
are you
just
waiting
just
for?
like at least the Browns had something exciting in the last 10 years.
Yeah,
A little bit of shake and bake, you know.
yeah. All right, well, let's get into this. We're going game by game. Did you guys go game by game last week or?
No, we went alphabetically.
Okay,
I tried to do game breakdowns. It didn't work too well with Broovy, but it's all right.
okay. Well, we'll stick with it this week because I think we liked it when we did it 2 weeks ago. Thursday
Yeah,
night
I prefer
football.
it this way.
The Steelers and the Bengals. The Steelers lost to the Bengals on prime time. I thought that this was definitely in the realm of possibilities just because it's a primetime game. It's a divisional game in the AFC North. It's just a clusterfuck.
Hmm.
And Joe Flacco does improve this Bengals offense. But it is still surprising in the fashion that it occurred, I think. But yeah, so what are your thoughts on that one?
You know, we were just waiting for the Steelers to have another loss at this point, and now that they have another loss, we can kind of just plop them down in camp counselors where I think they've belonged this whole time. We understand that they're going to win that division more than likely, but honestly, I think for the rest of the season, the team out of the AFC North that's going to be dangerous is going to be the Ravens. I think the Ravens are going to bounce back when they get Lamar back. Yeah, they're 1-5 right now, but this team could still make playoffs. Their schedule is extremely easy remaining. So it's not even out of the realm of possibility for them to still win that division. Um, Not that I'm predicting them to finish 12-5 with a 1-5 start, but they could very well be in the realm of 11-6 or 10-7, and that could be good enough to win that division. So Steelers can plop right down in the camp counselors personally.
Okay. I could argue for Bougie if I wanted to, and we'll see how the rest of this tier list shakes up. They'd obviously be at the bottom of Bougie there, but I'm okay with camp
Right.
counselors for now. The Bengals, I mean, they're 3-4 now. It's not looking as bad as it did last week or 2 weeks ago. But
Especially with how good Flacco's looked.
is it good enough to get out of Dead Men Walking though?
I haven't looked at their remaining schedule. Them being 3-4 does put them in a better position than the Ravens are. But I mean, like this division is still wide open, and I think with Flacco they're a little bit frisky. And if they can make it to playoffs and Burrow can be back for playoffs, then maybe this team can make a run. But I don't think they're trading Trey Hendrickson. I don't know why people keep bringing his name up. They've made it pretty clear they're not getting rid of him. So yeah, I would put them below the Steelers still in camp counselors.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Next up, the New England Patriots and the Tennessee Titans. That game, fairly early on, it didn't last very long, but early on, you're like, oh man, are the Titans actually going to do this? They just fired their head coach, and there's a history of the last few years, like you fire a head coach and you win
Your
the
head
next
coach and
game,
you win your next game.
but the New England very quickly, very very quickly extinguished that flame.
Oh
And it was
yeah,
another really solid outing for Drake May, who seems to, he's put together like five straight really, really excellent games and
he's
looking
been
like
on a
a
roll this season. MVP
hit.
candidate.
Yeah, yeah, definitely entering the conversation. I think that the Patriots are in aliens. I think they're one of the better, if not top five in the NFL right now as we speak.
I would put them right around 5. Yeah,
They're just playing that good of ball on both sides. I really wish their run game would improve and be more consistent. I just think they're not handing the right people the ball at the right times. Like Ramondre Stevenson has a very clear role in an offense, and so does Travion Henderson. And you drafted Travion Henderson pretty high. Like you would expect the usage to be smarter with both of them for that
Travion needs
reason.
to get you into the red zone, and Ramondre needs to finish it off. That's what they need to be
You would
doing.
think something like that, but like then you have Travion Henderson in this game rush for get the ball twice, 2 carries for 4 yards. It's like, man, I'm so confused by that. And the concern down the stretch, of course, is they're going to come up against a team that they're going to need to run the ball in order to win, and they're not going to be able to do it effectively enough because they're so inconsistent with it. Um,
Hmm.
so clean that up, but outside of that, they're looking very clean in all three phases.
Absolutely.
Meanwhile,
Tennessee Titans, we can plop them right back into 31st.
yeah. And
Actually,
while we're at
honestly,
it,
no, the Raiders are 31st.
I
I think
agree.
the Raiders are below the Titans.
I agree. You get blanked by the Chiefs, 31-0, and you didn't turn the ball over. That's fucking crazy.
That's so gross
That's
to say out
pathetic, man.
loud.
It's pathetic. And again, I don't want to be that guy, but I was perplexed by some of the buzz that the Raiders were getting going into the year. I'm like, they could be a fun 6-win team. That's kind of where I had them at, like a fun
Yeah,
6-win
6 is
team.
around their peak. I
Um,
thought that they were definitely around the 4-win range more so.
yeah, yeah. But people were giving them playoff buzz. People were calling Geno Smith top 10 quarterback. I'm like, Geno Smith wasn't even
How did
top
he
10
go for a
last
third
year.
round pick? How did he go for a third? That
I
is
don't
so
know. The
crazy.
Seahawks have done a great job in trades involving quarterbacks the last few years.
The Seahawks have been the Tampa Bay Rays of the NFL.
Yeah. But yeah, so I'm not bought in on anything. The defense is bad, the offense is bad, the offensive line is bad. Geno Smith is really bad. So yeah, 31, I think they're interchangeable with the Titans, but I don't mind it. I mean, really, if we
Mm.
want to go based off recency bias, they did beat the Titans 2 weeks ago, but I don't think it matters that
Fuck
much
the
down here.
Raiders.
Yeah, we're down in F's in the chat. It's not a big deal.
Right.
Meanwhile, the Chiefs, you guys had them in assimilating or the A tier this last week, and I think there's no
They're
reason to
still
move them
there.
anywhere. They're in the aliens tier this week. I don't know what you think about below or above the Patriots, but I think they're right there with them. Very sound,
Yeah,
solid
I
defense.
think they look like the better team right now, personally.
Okay. Yeah, very sound, solid defense. Again, working on all three phases. This is the best Mahomes has looked since 2021, in my opinion.
Honestly, this might be the best he's looked in his career.
It could be. It could be. We could be saying that by week 17, 18. 100%. I will say, just because I want to pat myself on the back, I did say the Chiefs would start 3-3 going into the year because of the Rashee Rice absence, and that's exactly what happened. And then Rashee Rice comes in and gets a ton of volume, which I expected to happen as well. And I don't think they're going to look back from this. I think, this is a 12 win team at the end of the year.
Absolutely. Unfortunately for us.
Yeah. Okay, next up.
The exact opposite, right there with the other teams that we mentioned in 31st in that area. But yeah, this is just a rough team. So let's throw them right there at 29. Right where they belong.
In the team in reference is the Miami Dolphins. It is brutal to watch. Tua is like the 50th best quarterback in the league. They can't really get a run game going. Mike McDaniel feels so checked out. I think he's going to get fired within the next couple weeks here. Yeah, I don't know how you fix this team this season at the very least. So I think it's definitely F's in the chat for them. They're no longer dead men walking. On the contrary,
100%.
I think the Browns have earned dead men walking as opposed to F's in the chat.
Hey man, Quinshon Judkins may be the only good player on this offense, but Harold Fannin too. So they got Judkins and Harold Fannin, but without anyone to throw the ball to Harold Fannin. This is the Quinshon Judkins show, and he has been balling out.
He has, yeah. I do feel bad for Dylan Sampson that he's like getting nothing since Judkins has come back. But look, you got to ride the hot hand, and he's been white hot. And so is the
Oh yeah.
defense. Totally shut down. They forced 6 turnovers, I think, in this game, which is just unbelievable stuff. And so, look, they're going to be in a lot of games just because of their defense. And I feel like I say this every week, but it's just the truth. They're going to steal some games late in the year against some good teams, and it might shake up the playoff picture.
100%.
Okay.
Next up, we got the best team in the NFL.
Yes.
Yeah.
100%.
The Indianapolis Colts are the best team in the NFL.
Yeah.
We
Are they
are
the last
at
remaining
week 8.
one win or one loss team, I think, as well. So fitting.
Yeah, they are. Best record in the NFL.
Yeah.
Yeah, if at this point, if they're not number 1 on your power rankings, you're just wrong. They're just executing everywhere. They did let this game come back to the Colts or to the Chargers a little bit, which you would have liked to see them kind of dominate it all throughout. But they were never really at risk of losing, so it's not like it's that big of a deal.
Yeah. Yeah. I was about to push back on it, but you saved yourself at the end there because it was still a 14-point game by double zeros. So, look,
Right.
they are unstoppable. They can do whatever they want. They impose their will on offense. The defense is very clutch. I'm so happy for Charvarius Ward. He is having a career year in Indianapolis. He's looking like a top 3 corner in the league right now, and it's unfortunate that what happened at the end of his San
Mhm.
Francisco tenure and everything. But I wish nothing but the best for him, and
Yeah, nothing but love for him.
he's playing out
Really
of his
just an
mind.
unfortunate situation on all accounts.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, well done, Colts. You've earned it. I'm so glad, and I know you guys are so glad that you benched Anthony Richardson because I mean this isn't even me in hindsight. I said this team's ceiling was higher with Daniel Jones. Did I see
Oh
6 in
yeah.
one? No, but I will take some credit. uh, Meanwhile, the Chargers, another tough loss, another Herbert interception clump game. So I don't know. This team is in such a funk. I don't get it. They're letting the division slip away from them. I know they're dealing with injuries, and some of them are very big injuries, like at both tackle positions. But man, I
hmm
I, I just feel like with a Jim Harbaugh team, the next man up mentality would mean so much more, and it just feels like it's figuratively falling on deaf ears here.
Yeah, this team has just not looked the same. Honestly, I'm willing to put them below the Steelers. They've really fallen off over the last few weeks.
Hmm.
Just haven't looked good at football.
Yeah. Real quick, actually, I want to have a quick edit to our S tier. So I got rid of super
Okay.
healthy because a lot of teams are just injured anyway, so it doesn't quite apply.
hmm
But I don't know if you noticed a trend, but for the last like month and a half, or maybe even since the start of the year, anybody that we've put at the very top loses the next week. Pretty much. Like it is almost every time happened. Last week was different because you guys put both the Bucks and Lions up there, and only one team can lose that. But the Bucks didn't look good
Right.
last week. The week before
No,
that,
they did
it
not.
was the Jaguars and the Lions. The Lions lost to the Chiefs. The Jaguars lost to the Seahawks. And so like we're on a trend of the S tier losing or looking bad the next week. So I want to add super cursed.
Super cursed.
Yeah.
Well, we're setting them up for failure. I
Yeah,
already
yeah.
like it.
So you shouldn't be happy at the end of the day, Colts fans, that you're on our S tier,
Yeah,
as
this
high of an
is
honor
really
as it
dangerous for
is.
y'all. We're setting you up not for success.
Yeah, yeah. Anyway, let's talk about their division rival here that was formerly in the S tier, but it's lost 2 straight. The Jacksonville Jaguars,
Honestly, they're really feeling bougie right now. And
and that's a
it's
little
a st-
generous. Gotta be
it's a
honest.
steep drop off, but they have looked bad the last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And it's even crazier because this team did beat the Chiefs, but they did have a lot of turnover luck in that game. So it really just goes to show how much of that game was them winning.
Hmm. Yeah, and I said 2 weeks ago, like, highly emotional game at home against the Chiefs on prime time. Like the odds of you pulling together another performance akin to that in in 6 days is less than likely, but I still picked the Jaguars because they were at home and I think they were playing really great football at the time. And
Hmm.
but what I said were my concerns. That was exactly what happened. So very unfortunate, and it's carried over another week. I was sure that the Rams were walking into a loss there because I think they traveled to London on Thursday. I'm like, oh fuck, man, that's a tough one to travel on Thursday and have to play Sunday. But
Hmm.
they credit to them, they took care of business and it was not close.
Yeah, they never looked back in that game.
Yeah, they've adjusted well since the Niners loss, I think. So I think they belong in Aliens as well.
I would agree. Definitely in the bottom of that tier, but I would agree they're up there. The
All right.
Carolina Panthers, are they going to be right above the Chargers, or you're already
Man,
willing to put them that high over?
I don't
It's a
know.
Jets win, though.
It is a Jets win, and they weren't even too impressive, but
And they lost Bryce Young. I don't think I
they
could put them
did.
in bougie.
Man, that's tough. They did lose Bryce Young for at least for this week. I will say
And they're
though,
probably losing this week, too.
they were so impressive defensively, even though it was the Jets. I hear you, but they were so good that they got Justin Fields benched. And that has not happened yet this year. So we got to give them some credit that
It
they.
could be that it's just this far into the year, though.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. But I thought the joke was funny.
It is pretty funny.
I think they're right there with the Steelers, hanging in there. So for me, they're right on the edge. I said the Steelers could be in bougie as well. So I'm fine with
Hmm.
them there.
That's okay.
Oh, next up, in my family pick'em league, I was the only person to pick the Giants, and I was like, "Fuck yeah, here we fucking go!
We all picked the Giants.
I'm gonna get a bonus fucking pick right here because nobody else picked them. They were up
Uh-huh.
26-8, I think, entering the
Yeah.
fourth quarter. I
No, no,
do.
no. The Broncos didn't have any points. It was like 24-0 or 23 to
Oh,
0
okay,
because
okay.
they
So
got all their points in the fourth quarter.
okay. Yeah, yeah, I guess so, right? They scored 33 in the fourth. Yeah, that makes sense. I have no words though for that kind of collapse. I don't get it. I don't see how, despite Brian Daboll hitting on Jackson Dart seemingly, I don't see how he keeps his
You
job.
keep him around.
I don't see how Shane Bowen, the defensive coordinator, keeps his job either. He might get fired in the middle of the year. I don't know if Brian Daboll does, but Shane Bowen probably
Shane Bowen
does.
should have been fired after the Cowboys game week 2 because this defense has way too much talent to be this bad.
Yeah. Deontay Banks has looked terrible since Shane Bowen took over. Remember, he was like borderline breakout candidate last season.
Yep.
What happened? He's been bad. It's weird. It's so weird. It's unfortunate because I think this team does have a bright future if they make some good decisions moving forward, but they have to be dead men walking at this point. Like you have
Oh
that big of
yeah.
a lead and you lose it. I
They're
can't
definitely dead men
I
walking
can't
for
defend
sure.
that. Now we'll see what they can do against the Eagles again this week after upsetting them 2 weeks ago. But my guess
I
is
think the Eagles might just take belt to ass here.
that my guess is for that game, and we'll get into our predictions later. But my guess is that the Brian Daboll is not going to make any adjustments because he saw the first game worked well, and the second game is not going to work well because it's not how the NFL works. And
Right.
yeah, they're not going to make any adjustments or mix anything up, and so they're going to lose. But we'll talk about that later. The Broncos, meanwhile, look, credit to them for coming back and winning. That was a very crazy fourth quarter, but the fact that it's needed to come to this in several of their games now this season is
They're
like
not that good of a team,
they
I don't
have.
think.
I think they are like the definition of bougie. Like, look at us, we're so good, we're so good, we just won a game.
Or
Meanwhile,
the Denver Broncos.
yeah, and meanwhile, you had no points through three quarters. That to me is
This
like
team
definition of bougie.
this team has Sean Payton energy all over it. That's not a compliment to those of you out there, by the way. Sean Payton's a fucking prick.
But Kevin James played him in that movie.
Yeah, that
Uh,
was funny.
do we
Yeah,
want them?
I would say
Yeah.
above the Jags probably.
Okay, that's where I was leaning to. Just because, like, I think the defense is clutch and can make stops, and they have playmakers on every level of the defense.
And they're coming off the win. Jags are coming off a
Yeah,
loss.
yeah. Trending up, trend versus trending down for sure as well.
The Houston Texans, man, they are feeling like dead men walking.
They have to be, right? It's so unfortunate because the defense is very good. Very good. Maybe not as good as I expected them to be going into it, but also the offense is just so bad and so
Hmm.
predictable that it makes the defense's job so much harder. Yeah, I think they probably beat the Giants today, but maybe not at the same time. I don't know. What do you think?
I I would pick the Giants. I think the Giants are the more exciting pick.
Okay, I can see that. Yeah, that's probably a coin toss game for me. Look, it's just brutal, man, and it's unfortunate, but as the head coach, D'Amico Ryans has to take responsibility of this. And this is the type of thing that even when things look to be going well, and even because it's one down year, and even with the defense still playing excellent ball, this is the type of collapse from a whole unit on the team that gets a coach fired, even if undeserved. We've seen it
I
before.
mean, it would kind of feel deserved at this point, though. I mean, they haven't looked good and they have talent. This roster has very minimal excuses to fail right now.
Yeah, yeah. That's fair argument as well. I just don't know if it's deserved yet. I mean, we'll see down the stretch. The problem is that they have such a hill to climb out of now, or
Hmm.
such a hole rather, not a hill. You don't climb out of a hill.
You you
You
climb
climb
up a
up a
hill, but
hill.
yeah,
But like, the Jaguars, even though they've lost two in a row, they're still 4-3. They still like to think they're a competitive football team that's getting better. The Colts are the best team in the NFL right now. So like, yeah, man, it's tough to be optimistic with this team right now. And yeah, I think that is the definition of dead men walking. You can't feel optimistic. And a couple more
that's fair.
losses and you're done. Meanwhile, the Seahawks.
Seahawks looking good with Sammy Darnold. I don't know if they're quite alien. I mean, they're above the Rams. They're above the Rams. I don't think they're above the Patriots. I think
Okay.
they're right there.
I guess my main gripe is Sam Darnold on his turnovers. Sometimes they just occur in really bad times, I think, and going down the stretch, you're going to have a really, really, really inopportune turnover, and that's going to result in losses and
Hmm.
potentially a loss in the playoffs. And that would be brutal if that happens. But that's kind of the trajectory that it feels like right now. But they are a very good team. They're able to move the ball with ease. JSN looking like a top 5 receiver in the NFL this season. Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet, good running back duo. The defense is lights out. So yeah, I think Aliens is apt.
Absolutely, they're good at pretty much everywhere.
Yep.
Saints, on the other hand, above the Texans, maybe
Ugh,
just because,
I don't know, man.
just on vibes.
That is a little generous. Where did you have him last week? Deadman walking, but sixth worst. So make them seventh worst. Okay, I'm okay with that, I guess. This was the first game that I'm like, oh, Spencer Rattler is not good. And that is a good thing to say, I suppose, if you're Spencer Rattler and you want to be optimistic about something with the Saints. Like, this
Hmm.
was the first bad game, but also it was the first bad game, and it could be the first of many moving forward. Maybe the tape's out.
And I will say, even though he had a lot of bad tape in this game, he still made some really elite throws
He did.
on occasion. He had a couple drives where he really locked in and made the plays that he needed to make. So, even in a bad game, he definitely still had moments where he looked really good. So I do want to praise him on that.
That one ball at the
But
end of the
yeah, I just think
half
we're
to score
above
a
the
touchdown.
Texans based on the fact that if we played the Texans, I think the Saints are better than the Texans right now.
Okay, yeah, that's fair. That one ball that he threw at the end of the half to score a touchdown to keep them in it, I
Oh
thought that was
yeah,
a total rocket. That was a great throw.
it was beautiful.
Okay. Next up, the Chicago Bears. After starting 0-2, they've won 4 in a row. They feel like they're rolling. Caleb is taking better care of the football, still playing some hero ball, but taking better care.
Hmm.
The defense is looking very good, but they're creating turnovers, and the offense is kind of relying on those turnovers still. So not the most convincing of 4-2 teams, I think, but they are ascending for sure.
Yeah, I would say they're right above the Jags, probably below the Broncos still.
Okay. Okay. Sure. All right. Minnesota Vikings and the Philadelphia Eagles is the next game up. I'll let you take the reins here.
You know, the Philadelphia Eagles didn't blow them out quite like I said they would, but they definitely dominated this game and controlled it for the majority of it. It's a good return to form win for the Eagles. I would say it puts them right below the Rams and Aliens. It gets them back into A tier, but it doesn't move them high up into A tier.
Yeah, I was a guy that picked the Vikings on a big upset. I don't know. I just had a feeling about them, and then they had an opportunity there to take the lead late in the game, and the play calling was just horrendous. And then right
Hmm.
after the horrendous play calling on offense, the defense gave up another crucial touchdown, and from there it just spiraled out of control. So, I man, it's crazy to say Kevin O'Connell is probably going to get on the hot seat soon as well, based on his quarterback decisions from last season going into this season. But that's kind of the reality of where we're at. Like, imagine if Sam Darnold or Daniel Jones was quarterbacking this team right now, who were both on the Vikings roster last season. Like, we could be singing a totally different tune here.
Yeah,
And
how do you not identify the talent in Daniel Jones?
right, right, yeah. Um,
I mean,
so
that sounds like such a stupid statement, but like you saw him for a year straight in camp and you didn't realize what you could do with him.
right, right. Yeah, it's just so tough, and the team just doesn't look very good.
It
That
it looks brutal.
camp
And it
counselors.
really, yeah, honestly, below the Bengals. They're really low for me right now.
I might put them above the Bengals, but I'll leave it there. Doesn't matter really.
You can
Um,
have that. I'll let you have that.
okay. I still think
Pack.
the defense is good, but not clutch. Is what I'd put it at.
Hmm. Packers looked fucking brutal against the Jacoby Brissett Cardinals again. Um,
Yeah, they won,
really, really
which is
hard,
important.
tough win. They did grind out the win. But this is a bougie team, honestly, below the Bears. I would say in between Bears and Jags, or maybe above Bears. But it's a close call between those two teams.
I think so. Coin toss divisional matchup, which is awesome. You love to see it. You want
Hmm.
them to win the games that they should win, and they did win inevitably, but it took
Right.
way too much to get this win. And the Cardinals, since we're about to talk about them, the Cardinals look so much better without Kyler Murray. It is alarming, frankly.
It is really, really bad for them. That contract is just disgusting. They need to figure out a way to get out of it because he is a drag on that team.
Yeah.
Sorry, Kyler. I love you, dude. You're one of my favorite players. Your one season at Oklahoma made me the biggest football fan that I could be. But you're just not a good NFL quarterback, and it's so apparent.
Yeah. I think Deadman walking makes sense for them. I'd probably take them over the Giants, but I could hear that argument too.
And I would take them over the Giants as well. I think
Okay.
that's fair.
Packers, by the way, fun fact, they are the number one seed despite only having 4 wins because they only have one loss. They're four
That's
one and one. There
disgusting.
are 6 5-2 teams in the NFC, but the 4-1-1 team owns the first seed. So ties matter, people.
That is funny. But
uh,
they also have a bye. Ties and buys matter.
yeah, ties and buys, ties and buys. Guess what? The team they tied with is up next, the Dallas Cowboys.
You know, the Cowboys, I'm feeling pretty good about. We're both picking them to beat the Broncos here, and I don't want to allude to that, but honestly, I think that's right where they belong, is right above the Broncos.
Yeah, yeah. Look, it's crazy how much better this team would be if they had a pass rusher, right? It's crazy, crazy how
Dude, it
much
is
better
so
they'd be.
funny because preseason you were not saying that. You were like, I don't think the Micah Parsons is going to be like a multi-game like changer. But the more you watch this team, it is so apparent how much Micah Parsons would be helping
Yeah.
them out right now.
To be clear with my point, I said that in reference to the Packers mainly, that he would not move the needle necessarily for because people were saying like, all right, Packers are playoff contenders, and then Michael Parsons, oh my God, Super Bowl favorite,
God, they're the Super Bowl winners.
and so for me, like that's not really a needle mover for the Packers, but and that kind of carried over to the Cowboys take too, but I think that he was more important to the Cowboys for sure, and I think I think that's obviously very true. And maybe I was just wrong entirely on my point. We can get into that as the season goes down the stretch, but yeah, I mean the offense feels like they can do whatever they want. They're running the ball very well. Schottenheimer's calling great plays. I think
Wow,
out of
Javonte Williams is a good running back, Sean Payton.
crazy, right? Crazy when he actually gets touches, he does something with them. And he's
I can't believe
very
I got him for a third round pick this offseason, dude.
yeah. He's very powerful runner. I think that's the most important thing. Like he will just fight through
He
tackles.
has he has the like Alvin Kamara contact balance too.
Hmm. Yeah. So I'm really happy for him. I'm really happy for myself because I was always high on Javonte Williams, and for a long time it was really tough to defend it because he just never got the ball. But now he's getting the ball. Brian Schottenheimer, like I said, is one of the more impressive play callers this season, and it
Which is weird because we're all really low on the hire.
granted, it's a season with not a lot of good play calling, but he is one of the
Hmm.
shining like diamonds in the rough here. So well done, Cowboys. Just real shame that you don't have an edge rusher. You probably trade for one at the deadline, which is just hilarious to me. But that's what happens when you have incompetent ownership and a good team.
Hmm.
Meanwhile, the Washington Commanders,
Man, they
potential
also look kind of brutal now.
they do. Jaden Daniels lists again. So it'll be Marcus Mariota. And maybe that helps a little bit. You don't have as much risk taking that Daniels had. You don't have as much first read isn't there. So I'm going to just take off and probably get
This
sacked because I
team is a
don't
lot
have.
safer, but the problem is that only is beneficial to them if their defense doesn't look bad, and their defense has looked really bad
Yeah.
lately.
It's kind of crazy given like that they're just brand new to the contenders group and whatever over the last couple of years. But
Hmm.
they're the oldest team in the NFL, and I think it really shows on defense. Bobby Wagner, I don't understand how he gets such high PFF grades still. He is not a good linebacker. He
No,
is slow. He is a horrible run defender. He's not good in pass coverage. He's just like he's a liability out there. And I feel like that's the case with a lot of these people on this defense.
but
Can
Anthony, his name is Bobby Wagner.
I know, can you believe it? So much I can't believe how much 2016 is affecting our views in 2025. It's crazy. But yeah, the Commanders, where'd you have them last week? Bougie.
Luke Kuechly is the second best linebacker in football. Fred Warner, who's that?
Yeah, exactly. You mean that rookie? Um, I think they moved
Yeah,
down a full letter grade. I don't think it's enough to move down multiple. I think, they were at the bottom of Bougie last week. I
I
think
think
bottom
they're
of,
above the Bengals.
okay, that's fine. Next up, the Sunday night football game between the Falcons and the 49ers. The Falcons, another
The
kind of rough
Falcons
game.
feel like they're in that Cowboys Broncos kind of range to me.
I can't place them that high. And really, I think in large part it's because of the pedigree of the season. Think about this. This is how.
We
This
might
is
have the
how
Packers too low.
maybe we can revisit them, but think about how weird this NFL season has been. Okay, you are a football team, and in week one you lose to the Buccaneers. It's your division rival. It's a tough game. You swept them last season, but it didn't happen this season. Okay, tough one. 0-1, not a big deal.
Mhm.
Prime time week 2 in Minnesota. And you're not dominant, but you dominate that game, basically.
Right.
Great outing from the defense. The run game was really solid. Play calling left a lot to be desired, but you have some things going for you. And then you're going against your division rivals in week 3 who start 0-2, look really bad for 7 quarters of those 8. And you score 0 points and you give up 30 points to them. Yikes. Alarm bells. Ding, 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 ding. We're in big, 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 big trouble now. We can't move the
Right.
fucking ball in one of the worst defenses in the league. What is going on? The Carolina Panthers, of course, move on to lose 42-14 or whatever the fuck the score ended up
Against the
being against the
Patriots.
Patriots the next week. But still on the Falcons here. Week 4, you're like, oh man, we need to get right. Like that was an embarrassing loss. And the Commanders, hey, we're feeling pretty good. We're 2-1. We're still one of the up and coming teams in the league, and so many doubters
Mhm.
calling us saying that we're going to regress going into the year. That's bullshit. Obviously, we're 2-1. You outscore
Right.
them. You score 36 points and win by 2 scores. All right, we're good. We're good to go. We're good to go again. Then week
And then you
5,
go out and
you've
get
got a bye.
dominated by the Niners.
Not quite yet. Week 5, you
Oh,
got a
you
bye.
beat the Bills.
You have a bye week in week 5. You're like, okay, an extra week of preparation against the best team in the NFL, supposedly. And we're at home, and it's prime time. Like, we're going to be able to show everybody on the national level that we are one of the best. And you do. You beat them by 2 scores. You weren't the dominant team, but it seems like in primetime games this year, you just played your best football.
Mm-hmm.
Great game against the Bills. Beat them by 2 scores. The Bills don't look very good. All right, you have a third primetime game. It's a short week, but we think we can do it. The 49 IRs, I've never even heard of that team before. But here we are playing them in Sunday Night Football.
The 49 IRs.
And the score does not tell you how close that game was, because it was not close, yet it was only a 10-point spread. The Falcons are an oxymoron this season. That is all that explanation is just to tell you that. Like, nothing about them makes sense, and I don't think that that's good enough to put them in the bougie tier, at least toward the top of it. I think they're maybe better than the Jaguars right now.
I would put them above the Jaguars, but I do think we do need to move the Packers up a bit.
Okay. I think we can move them with the Cowboys. I mean, they just tied this season. I think that makes sense.
That's fair.
All right. And then meanwhile, the 49ers, I called you guys kind of crazy for having them all the way, moving them 2 full tiers down because of the Fred Warner
Yeah,
injury.
you were right.
And look, you guys were right for being concerned about the injury, of course. That's a big time injury, and I was like fucked up about it too. Like, god damn, how many injuries can we
Right, and it was
take?
more so out of respect to Fred Warner, more so than the lack of faith in the 49ers.
Yeah,
We just anticipated the lack of Fred Warner would make that defense struggle a lot more.
yeah.
Turns out Robert Saleh just is a big dick baller.
Yeah, and I think just this whole squad on both sides of the ball, it indicates how important coaching is in the NFL, as if you needed any more reminders of that. And I think they're like,
Right.
it's crazy that maybe it's not crazy that there are 3 teams in the NFC West and aliens, but I think they're all right there, right next to each other, frankly.
Yeah, I would put them above the Rams since they beat the Rams. The
That was also
Seahawks
with
and
Warner. That's my thing. Like, are they going to beat the Rams without Warner,
yeah,
tomorrow?
but the Niners haven't lost since then, and they've beat the Seahawks too. So
Well, we
I would put.
lost. We lost to the Bucks.
Oh, true. Okay, I'm fine with that then. Bucks after ugly loss to the Lions, but they were kind of they can't be below aliens. They still have to be
Yeah,
A tier.
I think so too.
Um, I would still put them above the Seahawks because they beat the Seahawks pretty handily.
I mean,
And there was a
it
lot
was
of
only
stuff that didn't go.
38-35. in that game. Like I don't get me wrong, I hear
They
you. Like
led
they
the
were
whole
up,
game though.
they did lead for most of the game. They were up multiple scores multiple times, but man, the defense has just been a little underwhelming. You know what I mean? And I hear you with the aliens. I agree with the tier. I just don't know if I have them as like a top 5 team in the NFL right at this moment, just because of how that loss was against another top 5 team.
Yeah, but it was also a lot of shit not going their way.
That's true as well. Yeah, that's a fair point. But I feel like we've credited teams with a worse performance for things not going their way either in games too. So
I guess that's fair. Um, I would say above the Niners then, since that's their most recent win.
yeah, that's respectable.
Uh, Lions, I would put them. I don't know. They just lost to the
They
Chiefs.
did, but it's kind of on par to have two teams in the S tier, one from each
Hmm.
conference. We've mostly adhered to that.
Yeah, I would stick them in next year.
Okay.
I still think they're the best team in the NFC.
I think, and man, would they beat the Chiefs tomorrow, even though they just lost to them? Probably not.
I think they would beat the Chiefs tomorrow in Arrowhead if they don't get fucked over entirely. And you can say, oh, well, they didn't have that many calls go against them. The Chiefs had 0 flags go against them, which was only happened 2 times in 70 years.
Yeah,
And you're telling me that there isn't any favoritism in that game?
zero penalties, and then the bullshit fucking trick play. The what team? There was a team this week that ran the exact same trick play where the quarterback was under center, but not actually under center, and then they motioned out. But the running back didn't throw to the quarterback in this scenario. They just ran to the
Hmm.
left and scored. But the point is, like, so that's obviously not a penalty worthy play for illegal formation because another team did it and didn't get flagged for it. So why are the
It's not an
Lions
illegal
getting
shift
flagged?
in general.
Exactly my point. So yes, like categorically, yes, they did get fucked on that play, and it resulted in 4 less points in the game. Now, 4 points
Hmm.
is not going to win them that game, but that changes how you play the rest of the
It
game.
makes it a
Like
one-score
that
game
was
at
the
the end of the
first
game.
that was the first drive. Like that changes everything, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, still an excellent
Instead of
team.
playing with a lead the whole game, you're playing behind the whole game
Right,
because
right,
the Chiefs got a touchdown on the first drive.
right. Uh, the two teams are on bye. That they're the ones that are remaining. Is there enough to? I think there's enough to warrant the Ravens going up a tier because Lamar's coming back.
Oh yeah,
But
definitely the
where?
bye team of the week.
Yeah.
I mean, they're immediately better than every team in Deadman walking.
Okay. And then the Bills, we had them in A tier. I think they're still like in this range of A tier. I don't think they have any reason to warrant
I
moving
feel
them
like
down
they
or
feel
up.
below the Niners to me, honestly.
Okay. Yeah, they were toward the bottom of last week's as well.
Yeah. Once they get a redeeming win, they can move up again, but it
I
has to be a good quality win.
I think actually you say Ravens bye team of the week, and I agree because they're getting Lamar back. But the Bills also really, I think, needed the bye week this week too, because you just
Hmm.
you went on a 2 game skid essentially, and you're just playing. You're not playing very satisfactory football. You're struggling. The play calling's been bad, and I think this is a
Your head
really
coach fucked me over on a parlay because he wouldn't kick a field goal.
yeah,
Cost me $800.
and so I think just a week to like recoup and get right. And now you're playing the Panthers, which, could be a tough game, although it is Andy Dalton. So that's a little troubling on both sides of the ball, I think, honestly. But yeah, I mean, we'll see. But I'm very happy with this. I like that the league is trending toward more bougie teams because for the first couple weeks we had a lot in the D's and F's, and we're now
Oh yeah.
skewing more toward B and A, which is really good. There's just a lot of
Well, I
parity
think
this
that's
year.
more so just the bar getting lowered league wide.
Maybe that's true. Yeah, maybe we've curved our grades based on that as we've gone along.
Definitely have a little bit.
All right. Yeah, I could see that. Real quick before we move on, I'm just going to reread our tiers here. In our S tier, we've got the Colts and the Lions. In our A tier, we've got the Chiefs, Patriots, Seahawks, Rams, Buccaneers, 49ers, Bills, and Eagles. And then in our B tier, we've got the Cowboys, the Packers, the Broncos, the Bears, the Falcons, and the Jaguars. In our C tier, we've got the Panthers, the Steelers, the Chargers, the Vikings, the Commanders, and the Bengals. In our D tier, we've got the Ravens, the Cardinals, the Giants, the Saints, the Texans, the Browns. And then in our F tier, we have the Dolphins, Titans, Raiders, and Jets. F's in the chat for our F tier teams, please.
R.I.P. New York Jets fans.
Yeah. Before we move on to our weekly predictions, let me not show you my trade predictions quite yet. We always do studs and duds. So, do you have any studs and duds for last week?
Oh, fuck. My biggest dud is gonna be Brian Dable and the New York Giants, because how the fuck do you fumble that opportunity to win a football game? Um, and my biggest stud muffin of the week, who do I want to give it to? You know, honestly, stud muffin of the week is gonna be Rashee Rice. Welcome back to the NFL, my man.
Yeah,
Dude balled out.
it's a begrudging welcome back, but he is a good player. Um, yeah, okay. I've got two for each here. My first stud is Tatum Bethune. Definitely a true definition of like a stud who no one really expected. Came in for relief of Fred Warner this week, the first like full week without Fred. And I think he played his ass off. I think the 49ers are getting some really, really impressive performances from rotational / depth level linebackers this season. And Tatum Bethune with another just really, really awesome performance. If I don't know if you saw Michael Penix's spray chart for the game on his throws, but there was one throw like down the middle of the field, like everything was outside to the numbers, and that's a huge credit I think to not only the safety play, like with Malik Mustafa over the top, but to Tatum Bethune as well for just being, and D Winters for being just excellent in coverage and
Shout
just
out D
nothing being
Winters.
open over the middle.
Big D Winners podcast here.
Yeah. But yeah, congrats Tatum Bethune. That was a really awesome performance. I was super stoked for him and super stoked that like it just felt like missing Fred Warner didn't matter too much in that game, and hopefully it doesn't matter too much down the stretch, as great as Fred Warner is. My other stud is DeAndre Swift. After a few weeks of being like not good at football, basically having no vision and not efficient with running the ball, he's had a couple of weeks now in a row that he has done wonders and done a really fantastic job. So I wanted to credit him for that. And then my two duds for the week: Justin Fields, you got benched. It's about time you got benched, and I
Got
can't
benched
believe
for Tyrod Taylor in 2025.
you could call him a stud at the same time because he somehow convinced the Jets to pay him $20 million per year. That's virtually robbery at this point.
Simultaneously the greatest and worst contract of all time. Because like it's greatest because how did you get that contract?
Right.
But it's also like, and
How
why
did you get that
give someone
contract?
that contract?
Yeah, it's the same exact question. And then my other dud is another New York person. It's Brian Daboll. Look, you need to go, my man. That was a crazy collapse against the Broncos.
Genuinely embarrassing levels of collapse
Yeah.
from Brian Dable.
Yeah. All right.
But
do you want to segue into your homework assignment for me this week?
yes. So it's a week in advance apparently, because I'm used to old days in the NFL where week 8 was the trade deadline. I think it still is in Madden. But
It is. Yeah.
But anyways, we are gonna be talking about, you have 5, I'll come up with 5. We're gonna talk about 5 players who we want to see traded this NFL trade deadline, and we want to talk about at least 3 teams that we think would be good fits for that player.
Okay. I didn't quite do it that way. I have very specific things, but I still think it's
If you have
sufficient.
very specific teams, that's all right too.
I think these players could fit for multiple teams, but I do have like specific landing spots for each one and relative
Right.
compensation too. Because I thought it was a fun thing, and I really try to stay realistic with them as well. Like, who's a player that could really be on the move here, and who's a team that could really be interested in this type of player? One of them is not as realistic, but I think there's a chance that something of this caliber occurs. So,
Hmm.
my number one. Do we want to go number one, or should I just go down my list?
I would say go down your list.
Okay.
Or no, let's go one by one.
Okay. All right. My first one involves the 49ers, and I think that they are bound to make a trade at some point. Actually, I have two of them involving them, but this is the one that
Hmm.
I think is probably more likely in this current climate. The 49ers need an edge rusher. I think that's been pretty obvious since Bosa left, but now Bryce Huff is going to be out multiple weeks as well, who has been our
Are you
best
gonna
edge
do Trey
rusher.
Hendrickson?
It's not Trey Hendrickson. It's not
Okay.
Max Crosby. And this one, so it's none of the big names. But I think that this is a name that makes sense, especially given Robert Sala's history with the New York Jets. I think that they can go out and trade for Jermaine Johnson, who is probably available. He's on his fourth
Hmm.
year. I don't think they're going to be exercising his fifth year option. And, or maybe he's in his third year. No, fourth year at this point, right?
Fourth, yeah,
I just done
because
the
he's a
research.
2021
Yeah.
draft guy.
So anyway, point being, like, he's not under control for very long. They're not going to be exercising the fifth year option because outside of 1 year, he hasn't looked very good. And it was the 1 year with Robert Sala as the head coach full time.
Right.
Uh, and so I think that this is a guy that works well under Sala and could be of extreme benefit and also is probably available. So I have Jermaine Johnson going to the 49ers for a fourth round pick.
I think that's good. I think that's fair value. Maybe like a third in a fourth swap or something like
So
that.
I do have here as well. It could be a compensatory third because I believe the 49ers are going to have another compensatory third in this upcoming draft.
I think that that would be a good idea. Or have it be depending on how he performs. Like if he gets a double digit sacks in the next season, they get a third instead or something like that.
Yeah. Something along those lines, but it's going to be like a late day 2, early day 3 for a player that they
Right.
don't have control over anymore out after this season. So, I think that's beneficial for both sides there.
100%. And if you do that trade as the 49ers, I think you got to at least extend him a year or two.
Yeah, probably. Hopefully, right? Hopefully he's worth the
Get him
money.
on like a 2 year, $25 million extension. I
Yeah.
mean, that might be a little bit rich, but
Okay.
maybe not.
So we were going one by one. Did you have one ready?
Yes. So my favorite trade and fit this deadline is Chris Olave to the Buffalo Bills.
Fuck! That's on my
I
fucking list. That's on my list. Damn it, man. That was the one where I'm like, I don't think it's gonna happen, but this would be a really fitting and good trade for both sides. Damn it, man.
oh
That is
yeah.
hilarious. I can't believe we did that.
I just think it's such a good fit. I mean, he's a Josh Allen type receiver. The Saints and Chris Olave are not getting along right now. That is a breaking up couple. I think you trade Chris Olave to the Buffalo Bills for a second round pick, and you
Yes.
are happy with it.
That's literally, oh my, I can't believe we did that. That is hilarious. I love that we're on the same page there. And now I think that this could really happen. Like both of us are on the same page. We did not rehearse this at all. We had no clue who
No,
we
this
had,
is
but
completely random.
literally this is my sheet. I'll share the screen with you and maybe I'll put it up in post. But Chris Olave to the Bills, I have for multiple picks here because I think he could go for like a 2 and a 3 or 2 and a 4 or something like that. But
A two
yeah,
and a
like
five, I would be happy with.
yeah, that too. But like literally, it's right there. That was one of my
Yeah,
selections. So
that's so funny.
that's hilarious. Yeah. Well done.
Thank you.
Definitely agree with that. And you're right. You're totally right with everything you said. Like, they're going to be running out of control for him. It doesn't feel like it's a fit with the
Saints still
relationship
need a dump
anymore.
cap.
Dump cap space. They're not going to extend him probably, and so get value out of him
Mhm.
now while he's still a very good asset. And the Bills, clearly need a separator at receiver that can play everywhere on the field, and he could become a Josh Allen magnet, you know. So and that just makes the Bills that much more dangerous of an offense with an excellent run
Mhm.
game with Kincaid, who's kind of had a resurgence again, Khalil Shakir, who's great after the catch. You know, Keon Coleman
And
is a
he could
negative
be who
separator,
they
but
thought Amari Cooper could be for them.
yeah,
Instead of doing a half measure and going for a guy who's aging, get a guy who is still very young. I mean, Olave is only what, 25, 24,
yeah,
something like
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Very young player. So I think this is a good fit for both teams. But you would have to extend him if you're the Bills. Like this can't be a Stephon Diggs situation where you are letting him go very quickly.
Right. All right. Well, so that's awesome. That's another one of mine. So I guess I've gone through two of my trades, but I have another one
My
involving the
apologies.
Bills. No, no, that's even better. I do have another one involving the Bills and another, and it involves the Saints too. And I think it's something that is also realistic. I don't think both happen. Maybe one of them happens, right? And
Hmm.
Olave might be more likely. I'm not sure. But Demario Davis is
I
still
is actually yeah, I was thinking Demario Davis to the Bills
still a
too.
capable linebacker, and the Bills really need linebacker help with Matt Milano still injured and banged up. And I think that he can go for a
Tons of
late,
playoff experience too. Really good tackler, which is what the Bills struggle with.
yeah, and I think he can
Be a
go for a
great
late day
fit.
two pick.
Yeah. Maybe like a day two for like Demario Davis and a fifth for like a second round pick, something
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that.
maybe something like that. But I think that is also a great fit for the Bills, who struggle against the run. You can get a really stout defender up the middle there. Makes a
Hmm.
lot of sense. So,
Absolutely. Good job, man. Like that.
yeah. All right. I believe it's your turn.
Yeah, so and this is another one that's just kind of like my Oklahoma bias, but I would fucking love Mark Andrews to be a Buccaneer.
Yeah, we talked about this a couple weeks ago.
Hmm. It's just such a good fit to me. I think that he would be perfect for that offense. Obviously, he has the Baker Mayfield connection.
Mm,
It's just a match made in heaven. I do think the Ravens are probably going to be too good of a football team to want to get rid of him, so I doubt that he does get traded. But yeah, that's definitely one that I'm looking out for.
that could be a fun one for sure, and it could be an element of their offense that they're missing. I like Kate Otten, but and he has heated up over the past couple weeks since we talked about the tight end position there. But
Hmm.
man, that could be like one of those things that, and they could run some 12. You know, they have receiver injuries. You know, like Buka's banged up. He seems okay again, but Godwin's out. And now Mike Evans is probably out for the year. So like they could be running more 12, you know, if something like this
Hmm.
happens. So yeah, I like that one. Probably not very likely, like you said, but it's still a fun one to think about.
Right.
Next one that doesn't involve the 49ers because that's my last one here. But fourth, trade number four, the Cowboys, as I alluded to, really need an edge rusher. How funny that works. And they have a lot of rumors going around, like with Max Crosby potentially going there, but I just don't see them trading for a premier edge rusher when they just traded
Hmm.
one away. That doesn't make sense. And so what I think instead is they could go like a tier or two down that list and still acquire a solid player that can play in this defense and improve them significantly. And so I've got them going out and acquiring Jalen Phillips from the Miami Dolphins for a day two pick as well.
I would like that a lot. You know, it would suck to see Michael Parsons go. Actually, Barufi would fucking hate this because he was already really critical. He's like, okay, so they get bailed out of trading Michael Parsons and they get fucking Jalen Phillips. So Barufi would hate this,
Yeah,
but I think it's a great fit.
I
Good
think so.
pick. I really like that. The compensation you said would be what?
A day two pick, I think. Like
Hmm.
the
Yeah, I
problem
would be
is
right there with you. I
you
think it's probably a third round pick, something like
yeah,
that.
the problem is like you might be able to get him for less, but because he is on an expiring deal with Miami and it's probably not going to happen, you know, an extension. But
Hmm.
they did just trade away Parsons and they really really need a guy. So I think that a team like Miami is going to be like, "No, give us a third," you know, and then
Right.
Dallas will just have to accept it. So,
Yeah, I mean, what is Dallas gonna fucking do? They're
Right.
gonna be like, ah, shit. I guess we're just not gonna be good this year. My
Yeah.
bad. Sorry, guys.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think they're good enough to not waste it away. Even though like Vitor said, and I think it's a great point from Vitor, they're going to get bailed out for that trade in, somewhat, which is
Right.
frustrating, but yeah, seems fairly likely that Phillips gets moved in general. Could it be to the Cowboys? I think so.
You know, all the talks about Brees Hall getting traded. I know the Jets have said that they don't want to trade him, but I just can't get the fit of him with the Bears out of my mind. It's just too good of a match made in heaven. So I hate to be the guy who's repeating himself all the time, but I think the Brees Hall to the Bears is one of my favorite fits of this trade deadline.
Okay.
And I would probably have him going for like a fourth or maybe a fifth at this point. Honestly, the Jets have zero leverage at this point.
Right.
Um, Especially because it looks like they want to move forward with Braylon Allen. So I could totally see them only getting a fourth or fifth out of him.
Okay. I think I would have liked that trade a lot more if it maybe occurred 2 weeks ago, but DeAndre Swift has been kind of on a tear the last 2 weeks, and so the 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 thought of the Bears needing a running back has probably diminished quite a bit. But at the same time,
Hmm.
like imagine a backfield of Brees Hall and DeAndre Swift, like that would be pretty fucking cool. And Ben
But
Johnson
also,
is
if Brees Hall is available for cheap, imagine Christian McCaffrey and Brees Hall.
Oh my God, man. Oh my God. That would be insane. But they probably wouldn't use him. They're not using Brian Robinson. Like he finally got like 5 carries in a game
And
against the
he went
Falcons.
crazy last week on those 5 carries.
But that's what I keep saying this every week, and they finally did it. But like Brian Robinson, just have him out there like 2 plays each drive and just a halfback dive up the middle. He's going to get five to
I
eight
don't know why you
yards.
guys don't run a lot of. You guys should run a lot more split gun looks and look to get outside zone in with
Yeah,
Brian Robinson as a lead blocker for Christian McCaffrey. I think that would be really effective.
I think that could work very well. For some reason, I don't know why they haven't been very persistent on any kind of outside zone scheme going outside the tackles, which is weird because in space, I feel like this run game is more dangerous than between the
Oh,
tackles,
100%.
especially
When you
when,
give Christian McCaffrey more lanes to run through, he gets way more yards.
yeah,
It's
and especially when your interior offensive line has been as bad as it is this season. Now, that said,
Mhm.
um, George Kittle effect was very present with the Falcons game, just his impact on the run game. Like he didn't score any fantasy points, he didn't have a single reception, but his presence was felt on the run game. That was the first like B plus A minus rushing attack from the 49ers this season, despite having Christian
Mhm.
McCaffrey. And it's because they have a player who can set the edge effectively on those plays. But also, I think an underrated aspect of it, and I do not wish injuries on anyone unless they deserve it, like they're a piece of shit or something. But I never wish
Tyreek Hill.
I never wish injuries on anyone. But Jake Brendel getting injured is probably the best thing that's happened to the 49ers in a long time, maybe since they cut Jake Mooney and signed Eddie De Niro
Oh,
Pinheiro. But Matt Hennessy comes in relief of Jake Brendel, and the run game is also immediately more effective in between the tackles.
why have I
So
never heard Eddie Pinero's nickname before?
I think it's new. That's why. I think the 49ers fans came up with it. Eddie De Niro Pinheiro.
That's so fucking goaded.
Yeah. I mean, most people just call him Eddie De Niro, but I like it, adding the last name. That's just
Oh
my.
yeah, that's way more fun.
But yeah. Speaking of the Niners, of course, I did allude to it. I have another trade involving them on this list, and it's involving another New York team, but not the Jets. I actually have a little bit more going on in this one, and this one's probably the least likely to happen just because there's more elements to it. But also, I'm
Hmm.
not sure that Jawan Jennings gets traded at this point because of the injuries and because of his lack of volume in the offense. The more attractive option probably is Kendrick Bourne for teams because he did go off for a couple weeks there, and if he goes off again this week against the Texans, like that's even more. So you could swap Jawan Jennings here for Kendrick Bourne, and it probably still makes sense. Probably less. Probably need to add another. draft pick or a better draft pick to this if it's Kendrick Bourne. But I have Juwan
Hmm.
Jennings going to the New York Giants either for a day 3 pick or Jennings plus a third rounder for Kayvon Thibodeau. And of course, this is if the Jermaine Johnson trade does not happen, because then going for 2 edge rushers would be more redundant than anything. But I think Kayvon
Right.
Thibodeau is on the market. He is having a good year, which ups his value. But he's a little bit redundant because they have Sexy Dexy up the middle. They have Brian Burns off the edge. They have Abdul Carter off the edge, the rookie. And so
They have
Kayvon Thibodeau,
Jatavion Sanders on the inside too now.
yeah. And so Jatavion Sanders, isn't that the tight end?
Not Jatavion.
TJ
Yeah, not
Sanders.
Jatavion Sanders. TJ Sanders. My bad.
Yeah, I think it's TJ
The
Sanders.
Toledo guy.
Oh no, Darius Alexander. Darius Alexander's Toledo. Yeah.
Darius
Yeah.
Alexander.
Yeah, there we go. We got there. We got there. Don't worry. But
Gosh.
my point is, like, they're stacked, they're loaded on the defensive line, and like Kayvon Thibodeau is a piece that
Who the fuck
feels
drafted
very
TJ
available.
Sanders out of South Carolina?
Was it the Panthers? Why do I feel like the Panthers or the Bills? It was a
The
blue team.
Bills. That's who it was.
Okay.
It was the other blue New York team.
Yeah, the other blue and red New York team.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he feels available. So does Jennings or Bourne, for that matter. The reason I lean Jennings is, one, I think his time in San Francisco is over. So if you can get something for him, that'd be great. He's asking for money that the 49ers aren't comfortable paying him right now. You know, he almost held out of his contract, and he hasn't been very productive the last couple of weeks. And it's not just his fault. He is banged up, and he's playing while banged up, and I appreciate the grind. I really do.
Hmm.
And he's a fantastic run blocker as well. And I think that is also a decent fit for the Giants. You know, you can acquire a possession type receiver that Jackson Dart kind of needs, especially in Malik Neighbors' absence. And you have a guy who also is excellent in the run game. So I think the fit makes sense for both sides. And that's why I've got that one as like a 2-player trade, plus maybe a pick or two as well in the mix.
I would like to see David Njoku go to the Giants, honestly. I think that would be a really good fit.
They have a lot of tight ends already. I feel like every week they have
Yeah, but
3
none of
different
them are
tight
that
ends.
good.
I guess so. I like Daniel Bellinger. I've always liked him, but he's obviously not the number one there.
Right. Um, but anyways, who
While you think about it, I saw this post on Twitter today, and I completely like resonated with it and agreed, and that's why I went with these types of players, because everybody always every year has a trade rumor about some premier player. You know, oh my God, they could go for 2 firsts right now at the deadline, and it would make this team so much better. And it never happens. That's because it never will happen during the season. It just doesn't make any feasible sense for anybody during the middle of the season. Um,
hmm
and you have lesser players, but they're still solid. Like Jalen Phillips is very good. Chris Olave, like these are all good players, maybe with exception to Jermaine Johnson, at least this season. But they're not like the guys that.
Dude, you know what would be a fucking banger of a trade?
What's that?
Quinnen Williams to the Colts for a second and a third, or for a second and a third.
You think they could get him for a second and a third?
I mean, if they have to give up a first, then you do it.
They might
But I
have
just think the
to.
Jets might have like no leverage right now.
They might not, but also like they still, the problem with the no leverage thing is like they probably have less leverage than they would want, but they still have the player. Like if a team is wanting that player that much, then they will still like pay extra, you know what I mean? And so I do think that they
Okay,
could get a
well then
first for Quinnen.
Quinnen to the Colts for first still is a great trade.
That would be pretty wild. That would be the type of trade that I said doesn't really ever happen at the deadline, but there's always one every couple years that might happen. And sometimes
Hmm.
it's a surprising suitor that he lands with too. But that's a fun one.
Right, but I think him next to DeForest Buckner would be so
That'd be
good.
wild. It's a pretty deep edge room too.
Hmm.
Um, But yeah, that was a fun exercise. Do you have anything else?
Um, a lot of websites are listing Tariq Woolen as a big trade candidate. I don't necessarily know who he would go to though. Um,
I don't know that he
like
gets traded in the middle of the season though. Like they're dealing with some secondary health stuff over there, and he's kind of valuable to them right now. Do they extend him in the offseason? Probably not. But yeah,
right.
those are my thoughts on that one. What I was gonna
Mhm.
say though, to finish my point real quick, uh, you always see people like, oh, we're gonna trade for the best center in football, and that's how we're gonna fix our O line and everything. But this post had showed the number of players from each position since 2000, I think, that have been traded at the deadline, and like, there's been one center traded at the trade deadline in 25 years. Like, it never happens. Whereas
Right.
the wide receivers and edge rushers are the two most common positions to be
That
traded
makes
for
sense.
at the deadline, and it makes perfect sense. And it's usually the spots that require the most depth, that teams are the most lacking of, that need something to fix, to finish that receiver room or to finish that pass rush. And that's why most of the stuff that we talk about here is dominated by those two positions.
Right. I mean, there's been a stat of like every Super Bowl winner over the last like I think decade has had a top five receive or top 10 receiving unit in the league outside of the Chiefs, I think. And that was only the year that they won. I think it's 2024 was that year.
When they beat
That's
the
the only year that
49ers.
they, yeah, that's the only season where a team that didn't have a top 10 receiving unit won the Super Bowl. So it's just one of those things where it's like these positions have a ton of value. So there's a reason why we like pay so much attention to them.
Yeah. Okay. That was fun.
Hmm.
And finally, we're going to run through rapid fire through our week 8 picks. Just very quickly
The
give,
best picks.
yes, yeah, of course. Just very quickly, who we think is going to win and any bold takes that we have for the game. We've got Thursday Night Football first. We have the Minnesota Vikings at the Los Angeles Chargers. Jacob?
This is such a stinker. I'm not gonna lie. This just doesn't sound like a fun game to watch. Which is something I never thought I would say with Herbert and Jettas and all the like talent that's in this game, but these teams have just been so underwhelming. But yeah, I gotta go with the Chargers here. They're just the home team.
This is really a coin toss for me, mostly because it's prime time, but I'm going to lean the Chargers as well. I still think that, and they've shown that over the last couple of weeks, despite losing, they can still move the ball very effectively, and they just need to put
Hmm.
points on the board when they move the football. And I think that they're capable of that in this game. I'd just be very worried about this run defense once again. Jonathan Taylor, that was my concern last week. Jonathan Taylor ran all over them last week. Like, Colts just imposed their will on offense, and if the Vikings can get in a similar groove, then this game could get ugly quickly. But still
Oh,
picking the Chargers.
100%.
All right.
Yeah.
No
Chargers
international
should be the pick.
games. No international games this week, so we're just gonna run AFC first. We have the New York Jets at the Cincinnati Bengals.
I'm going Bengals here. I mean, you can't pick the Jets to win a football game in 2025 right now.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. Inept on offense, not very good on defense, although they've been playing better the last couple weeks, getting going there. I mean, there's too much talent on the defense to be bad all year, right? But the
Right.
Bengals,
Until they trade it away.
right, right. But the Bengals have some life. They have a pulse with Joe Flacco at quarterback, and so I'd like to see them get the run game going a little bit better here. Now that they have some kind of versatility here, let's get Chase Brown the ball more and get him some efficient runs.
Yeah, because he's looked fucking amazing this year.
Yeah, just not getting the ball enough. All
Hmm.
right. Next up, the Cleveland Browns at the New England Patriots. I'm kind of a no-brainer, honestly. I'm taking the Patriots.
Patriots.
They're absolutely rolling here. Drake May is looking, in the MVP conversation right now. I think both of us agree. But the Browns, it could get interesting. It could get a little hairy, but I just don't have enough faith in this offense to move the ball to the level that the Patriots can. And the Patriots are playing a tough defense in the Browns, and so it could be low scoring for that reason. But I could also see them putting up 30 points.
This definitely feels like the easiest we could pick so far.
Uh, I don't know about easy, but fairly straightforward. maybe those are cinnamons. I
Hmm.
don't know, but yeah, I kind of agree.
Next up, Colts at home against the Tennessee Titans. Pretty simple pick here. The Indianapolis Colts are going to take care of business. I just don't see a path of victory for the Tennessee Titans.
Yeah, this is my survivor pick of the week. Definitely have the Colts here. You know, it was a little interesting, like in the first quarter, the first time that they played, but the Colts are at home here, and they just look so good at everything that they do right
Hmm.
now. And meanwhile, the Titans, even when they fire the coach, they can't win. So, uh, pretty disastrous. All right.
They don't even have the first game head coach luck.
Exactly, exactly. Imagine how bad you have to be to do that.
I know.
All right. Next up, the
You have to be the New
49ers.
York Jets.
Yeah. Yeah. Next up, the 49ers on the road against the Houston Texans. Sounds like Brock Purdy's out again. Sounds like Pearsall might play, but still a very banged up team. But at the same time, very good team. You know, next man up mentality is definitely a thing for this 49ers team. I am going to take them, not just for
Hmm.
the homer bias, but the Texans totally inept on offense. And I think this will be the week, fingers crossed, this will be the week that the 49ers break their NFL record breaking streak of games without an interception.
Actually,
Literally, I was shocked to hear it, but they've gone 17 games without recording an interception on defense. And apparently that is an NFL record. Not just franchise,
that is
NFL.
hilarious.
Yeah,
That
so
is
got to
hilarious.
get it done here.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely going with the 49ers here. They're just the better football team, plain and simple.
Yep. All right. Next up, the Bills coming off a bye on the road against the Carolina Panthers, who are rolling. They've won two in a row. But I'm taking the Bills
Atomic
here.
bomb meets coughing baby. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, potentially. This is a good get right game for the Bills. This is a good game coming off the bye as well for them. So definitely leaning them this game. I think that the Panthers could make things interesting. I think that the lack of Andy Dalton tape on the season could make things a little bit hairy down the stretch here. But the Bills are just going to make an extra play because they're the better team.
Right, absolutely. I don't think this will be much resistance for them, honestly.
Okay. Next up, the Miami Dolphins at the Atlanta Falcons. Again, I think another straightforward game. I've got the
Mhm.
Atlanta Falcons kind of bouncing back from last week's dominant loss, I guess you could say. Look for
Falcons are
Bijan.
gonna continue to be bipolar as fuck because they're gonna kill the Dolphins.
Yeah, yeah.
There's gonna be like another 30-point domination.
I don't know about that much because I think that they're just going to be running the football so much because the Dolphins' run defense is that bad. But they could definitely run the score up. I think another Bijan 150 plus game makes a lot of sense.
Absolutely.
Next up, the other
Next up,
team off the bye, the Baltimore Ravens hosting the Chicago Bears. Bears have won four in a row. Ravens really need to get a win here to maybe stay in any kind of contention moving forward. Jacob?
hmm yeah, I got the Ravens taking care of business here. This is a real must-win game early on in the season, but I just think that they are going to really fix this season around, get it turned around, and make a play at the division. So in order to do that, they got to come in and get a win here. Lamar is going to come in. I think he's going to have a really good game here against the Bengals or the Bears defense. I mean, so yeah, give me the Ravens to win probably by around 6 or 7.
I've got this as an underrated thriller of the week. I've liked the way that the Bears have played the last few weeks. Granted, they're getting a little fortunate, but they're playing in close games and they're playing meaningful football. I think
Hmm.
so. I've got this within a field goal, but I do have the Ravens winning because I have a faith in Lamar Jackson that they can, get back in the win column here in his first game back.
Hmm.
This is afternoon. New York Giants at the Philadelphia Eagles. Eagles looking to bounce back after 2 weeks ago. Their huge primetime loss to the Giants in New York, but this time they're in the link. I've got the Eagles here. The Giants, it's really hard to buy into them week by week. I think that they can be playing good football, and they could surprise everybody once again. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Right? But man, I can't with Brian Daboll. I can't with this defense. I can't with the fourth quarter collapses. It's so weird. And the Eagles look to get right once again. They were excellent in the pass game against the Vikings. I think this one they could, maybe impose their will in the run game and show everybody that they're every phase of football that they're good at once again.
Yeah, I hate to allude to it already, but I'm pretty sure we just have the exact same picks on every single game this week.
I think
So
we do.
we both have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers winning in New Orleans. And this is just a get me right game for Baker Mayfield. He should go off on us. I'm not gonna lie. This one shouldn't be particularly close. We both have the Cowboys going on the road here against the Broncos
Yeah.
and winning that game. Fuck you, Bronco Nation. We're pissed about that win. Y'all didn't deserve it. We're both taking the Steelers to win at home against the Packers, and Aaron Rodgers is gonna beat his former team. And then on Monday Night Football, we both have the Chiefs beating the Washington Commies.
Yeah. Yeah, way to run through it, man. It's crazy, and this is what I mean by straightforward. Like, some of these games are tough. Some of these are going to be tough games and fun games, and of course, any given
But
Sunday,
there's a right team to pick.
I really think there is with every matchup. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So the Chiefs, like, they're just playing really excellent football. The Commanders are not. It's prime time. They're going to get the ref bias regardless of if they deserve it or
Mhm.
not. I think they'll deserve it in this game. Steelers, despite the loss, I think they're just playing better offensively. The play calling's been better offensively. Surprise, surprise, given that it's Arthur Smith at offensive coordinator. And, I think this is borderline shootout territory, though, because the Steelers defense is not very good. And this could be
Mhm.
a week for the Packers to really figure things out offensively. Cowboys and Broncos, I think this is going to be a shootout. I think the Cowboys can just do whatever they want on offense right now, despite the Broncos defense being very good. And I think the Broncos, like, they might not deserve to be 5-win team, but they also are just in every single game that they play. And you have to give them somewhat credit for that, I guess. No matter what the score
Right.
is, they're in it. So yeah, those are our picks for the week. Any final thoughts from you?
The unironically, the toughest game to pick probably is the Cowboys Broncos game, but I just feel good about the Cowboys. That's just a strong gut feeling for me. But yeah, no, this is just such a week of straight up picks, honestly.
Yeah.
Not I wouldn't touch any of these spreads except for the Chiefs. I think the Chiefs are going to cover their spread. Patriots will cover whatever spread they have with the Browns, and the Colts will cover whatever spread they have with the Titans. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
All three of those teams are winning by probably 10 to 15.
Yeah, I could see that. How about a bold take here from me? Bold take.
Bengals hang 40 on the Jets.
Bold take. Bold take. The 49ers win by 24 points.
I could see it, dude. CJ Stroud just has an absolute stinker. He's very capable of throwing up stinkers, so.
It would be more surprising because of the offense. It's been good, but they haven't really scored a ton of points in each game. They've gained a lot of yards, but not really translating it to points all the time. And I guess a very good defense, but who knows?
Yeah. Well, that was a really nice, good, concise episode of Coast Knows Ball, dude.
I think so too.
Thank you, everybody, for making it through our Week 8 edition of the wonderful hit podcast that nobody knows about. The best podcast that nobody's heard of,
Yep.
We can't sell it short of what it is. Yeah, but no, we gave you the correct picks. I mean, every single pick was a Coast Knows Ball guarantee. So
Yep.
go out, put $150 on a 16 leg or however many leg parlay it is, and yeah, give
Real
us a
quick.
subscribe and comment down below.
Yeah. Real quick, because there are 6 bye teams. Who is the bye team of the week?
Oh fuck. You have them pulled up?
Yeah.
Yes, you do. Okay. Oh, definitely the Jags. The Jags are a fucking shit show right now. They have to go into the bye week, figure it the fuck out, and come back strong next week.
I was thinking the exact same thing.
Yeah,
It's a good time. It's a
definitely.
good time to have a bye week when you're losing 2 in a row like that.
Yeah. Even the bye team of the week is an obvious pick. That's how clear we are on coast to coast.
Watch us be 0-13 in picks this week. Can't wait.
I would be all for it because it would mean the Chiefs lose.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, that's retribution for the other 12.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, everybody,
All right.
and we'll see you next time.
Peace.